Recently, I've seen a flood of new players in CSGO surfing. I remember how frustrating it was when I first started, and how confusing the tutorials on YouTube were at the time. Because of this, I decided I'd make my own video and walk through some of the things I've learned over the years. While this video is for people who have never surfed or who are struggling to beat beginner maps like Utopia or Kitsune, you might still pick up a thing or two if you're a bit more experienced. That being said, I'll still try to keep the terminology light and speak as if you've never tried surfing before. Please keep in mind I'm far from a professional, and if there's anything that I've overlooked or forgotten in this video, please let me know in the comments. I plan to refine and update this video in the future, and I'll be sure to include anything I missed in a later upload. With that, let's get started. In order to surf, you need to be able to move around midair, but simply using your direction keys W, A, S, and D to change directions midair is ineffective. You barely change directions. This is why air strafing is used. It gives you the ability to change your velocity midair with ease. Let's learn how to air strafe. Everyone will tell you this, and I'm sure you've heard it a million times, but the first rule of strafing is to never press the W or S keys. They're useless here. Throw them away. Air strafing, in simple terms, is just turning your camera and holding the corresponding key. To turn right, you smoothly turn your camera to the right and hold down D. Similarly, to turn left, you turn your camera smoothly to the left and hold A. Now if you look left without pressing A, your character will continue moving forward midair, but simply look to the left. And if you hold A without turning, your character won't change directions at all. But when you combine both of these, your character will be able to change directions on a dime. Think of air strafing like gliding in a plane. Don't worry too much about accelerating forward, just worry about turning. Now you may have heard that air strafing is used to gain speed. This is true, however, when you're first starting out, and especially on these easy maps, I would look at air strafing more as a means to navigate than to accelerate. To practice a bit, I'd start out by hopping on a beginner b-hopping server, or even just the spawn area of a surf server, and getting the hang of these new movement controls. On most surf servers, you can hold down the space button and it will allow you to bunny hop automatically. By bunny hopping, you can get the hang of the strafing controls and practice switching directions in a more controlled environment. Most servers will show you your speed in the UI. Make sure that when you're strafing, you don't see yourself losing speed. Some servers, like the one I'm playing on, will limit your speed in spawn, which is something to watch out for. This is why I'd recommend maybe trying a beginner bunny hopping map to hone your strafing skills. Now that you've gotten the hang of air strafing, we can move on to actually surfing. Fortunately, the controls for surfing are pretty similar. Don't use W or S, and press A or D while smoothly turning in the respective direction. When you surf, you want to think about yourself pressing into the ramp. You press the key opposite of the side you're surfing on. For example, when you're on the right side of the ramp, you press A. Similarly, you press D if you're surfing on the left side. Now here's where things get tricky for beginners. When you look towards the ramp, you go up, and when you look away, you go down. This is crucial for getting height or smoothly transitioning onto a ramp. I see a lot of beginners trying to jump or get more height by looking up when they first start out. While this isn't necessarily bad, it doesn't do anything. If you're trying to get height, you need to move your mouse horizontally in the direction of the ramp. One final technique I should mention is turning. When you go on a ramp that's turning, you want to air strafe away from the ramp. Basically, hold the key opposite of the ramp and turn away from it. So if the ramp's turning right, you want to hold D and turn your camera to the right. Like I said, air strafe away from it. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but if you think about the cross section of a curving ramp, you'd be going up a slope if you continue forward. Instead, you want to strafe with the curve. Sorry if my explanation is confusing, I hope this MS Paint drawing helps. But anyway, just strafe away from the ramp and you won't fly off. With all the information I've given you, you probably have the knowledge to hop on Utopia and get a decent chunk of the way through the map. However, being able to surf and being able to maintain your speed while surfing are two completely different things. A lot of advice people have for beginners is just be more smooth. I was told this a lot when I first started, and for a beginner, these words mean nothing. A lot of beginners know what smooth surfing looks like, but aren't really sure how to do it. What just be more smooth boils down to is making sure your transitions are as seamless as possible. Whether that be transitioning from the air onto a ramp or from a ramp into a turn, you always want to make sure these transitions are fluid. For example, if we want to land on the right side of a ramp, we should continue air strafing right for a little bit after we land. Then we can press A once we're on the ramp and look left slightly to stick onto the ramp. A lot of people struggle with these smooth transitions, which is okay, since it's hard to master, but it's something you should be paying attention to and looking to improve. Hitting the ramp too hard is where people often lose a lot of momentum, so fluidly landing on a ramp is important to maintaining speed. Since I've talked for a while, I'll go quick with these last few tips. I see a lot of players try to flick off a ramp to get height, compensating for the distance they need to cross. Think of surfing as a 3D racing game. In a racing game, you wouldn't waste your time taking a wide turn, would you? So why waste your momentum in surf going upwards? Instead, try to get the right amount of altitude so you can still make your landing, but so you don't lose too much speed. Like I said, surf is like a racing game, so if you do want to cut some more time, it is also important to take tight turns. Honestly, these tips are only really helpful if you're looking to shave some time off your personal best. Starting out, you don't need to focus too much on this stuff. Now, in case you didn't know, this is how you join a surf server. Start by clicking play, go to the community browser, select CS2 and the games, and then you can type surf into the name filter. Then you can hit refresh. I like to sort by players to find good servers. When you join a server, you might be prompted to download a map. That's usually fine. And then finally, I often mute people on the server, but that's up to you. Alright guys, that's pretty much it. I didn't want this video to be too long or overwhelming, so I decided to end it here. But depending on the reception, I might make a follow-up video with more tips and thorough explanations. Again, if there's anything I missed or overlooked, please let me know in the comments, and I'd be happy to include them in a potential follow-up video. Thank you again for watching, and I really hope I taught you guys a few new things about how to surf.